from Regina, and 7, Nicole Shutoff from Revolution. For the men's D1, first will be Gabriel Brombach from Revolution, second, Juan Diego Palma from Edge, and third, Foxley Burnett from Regina. And the women's D1 event. Guiding first will be Vanessa Bondi from Etobicoke, second, Catherine Coates, also from Etobicoke, third, Esha Burgess from Revolution, fourth, Mina Martelli from Revolution, and fifth, Jane McFrenier from Saskatoon. Please note the boards are now closed. Judges, if you could take your seats, please. We are ready to begin our 1-meter event, starting with men's D2, round 1 of 5. We have Thomas McFrenier from Saskatoon, Dodge 101C. Judges award. 6.5, 6.5, 6.5, 6.5. Next up, Nicholas Landry from Revolution 101C. Judges award. 6.5, 6.5, 6.5 across. On to the women's D2, round 1 of 5. Jessica Markson from Regina, Dive 101C. Judges award.
7.5.
8, 7.5, 7.5, 7 across.
That was the best one.
Next up, Claire Liana from Etobicoke 101C. Judges award. 6.5, 6, 6.5, 6 across. Lennox Burnett from Regina, Dive 101C. Judges award. 7.5, 7.5, 7.5, 7.5, 7. Shelby Adams from Revolution 101C. Judges award. 7, 7.5, 7, 7, 6.5. Paige Kirsch from Revolution 101C. Judges award. 7, 6.5, 6, 6.5, 7. Lauren McCary from Regina 101C. Judges award. 7.5, 7.5 across. Final diver women's T2 is Nicole Shacko from Revolution Dive 101C. Judges award. 3.5, 3.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4. Moving on to the men's D1, round 1 of 5, Gabriel Brombeck from Revolution with Dive 101C. Judges award. 7, 8, 7.5, 7.5, 8. Juan Diego Pomo from Edge 101C. Judges award. 6, 7, 6, 6, 5.5. Huxley Burnett from Regina 101C. Judges award. 6.5, 6.5, 6.5, 6, 5.5. Moving to the women's D1, also round 1 of 5, Vanessa Bondi from Etobicoke 101C. Judges award. 6.5, 7, 5.5, 6 across. Catherine Coates from Etobicoke 101C. Judges award. 6, 6, 6, 5.5, 6. Esther Burgess from Revolution 101C. Judges award. 5.5, 6.5, 6.5, 6, 7. Mila Martelli from Revolution 101C. Judges award. 5, 5.5, 5.5, 6 across. Our final diver, Jane LaFrene from Saskatoon 101C. Judges award. 5.5, 5, 5, 5, 5.5. Moving on to round 2, men's D2, Thomas, 201C. Judges award. 6, 6.5, 6, 6, 6.5. Nicholas, 201C.
Hey folks, so we just found out that I've been yammering away here for the last 15 minutes, but the microphone wasn't turned on. So, hey, welcome to the Boys and Girls D1 and D2 events. My name's Ken. I'm here with Peter and Garrett as your broadcast team here in sunny, beautiful Winnipeg. Some great divers here and some great
7.5.
here.
7.5.
We've gone through a round already, and so we apologize that the microphone wasn't on, but at least you got to see it, which is probably more important than listening to us yammer on. But anyways, here we are. So we are on to round 2 of the women's D, and I'm just catching up with Jessica Markison from Regina diving a back dive in a tuck position, degree of difficulty 1.6.
Judges award. 6.5. 6.5 across. Claire, 201C.
We have Claire Uyama Adetobiko doing a back dive in a tuck position at degree of difficulty 1.6. As I had mentioned before, no one heard. We actually have a nifty little diving chart on our website at divemanitoba.ca. Look under the summer rentals, or there's a button on the top that says summer. And it takes you to this nifty little chart explaining how every dive is calculated, what the numbers and letters represent. And it's a great little piece of information for those who just want to know the basics of diving and how scores are calculated. So please feel free to visit our website. We'll be looking for a permanent home for that box as well over the weekend. But in the meantime, take a peek at it, and maybe you can even. You can't say it's not a PDF yet, but yeah, please take a look at it. It's a lot of good information. Anyways, that was a great dive by Claire. By Lennox, I'm sorry. We're up to Shelby now from Revolution. She's doing a back dive in a tuck position. A degree of difficulty of 1.6. So degree of difficulty, the higher the number is, the more difficult the dive is. And how that works is if there's a panel of 5 judges,
4.5.
they take the high score and the low score and they eliminate them, and they take the 3 scores in the middle, add them up and times it by the DD, and that's how the scores are generated. So the scores you see in the bottom right-hand corner, that's how those scores are determined. And it was Kate with a back dive 1.6 in the tuck.
6.5, 5.5, 6, 5.5 across.
So we're just we are in 5 rounds in each group here. So we're in the second round of the women's D2 right now. Lauren Vicarious from Regina performing a back dive in a tuck position with a 1.6 DD. Oh, Garrett, I didn't think I was going to stop talking there.
7.5.
So Garrett, how did you feel this morning when I know you mentioned it earlier, but we forgot to have our microphone on. Did you want to talk a little bit about this morning?
I thought that was an incredible show that we saw in the AAB platform event. Just some excellent diving from some of the best divers in Scotland.
5.5.
And I was also saying it's really neat to see the D-level divers now, the younger divers at the beginning of their diving career.
We're watching future Olympians, future Commonwealth divers, future Pan Am Games divers here, future national champions right here in Winnipeg and Pan Am Pool. And you're right, we're seeing some stellar performances already here. We've moved into round 2 of the men's D2 with Gabriel Baumbach. We just finished the back dive in the position at a 1.6 D. And did a great job of it too.
8.5.
Listen to the score, 7s and 8s. That's fantastic. We unfortunately can't see the scores from River City, but we can hear the scores, and it's really exciting to hear. Next up, we have Juan Diego from Edge Diving, diving a back dive with in a tuck position, a 1.6 DD. Very good dive for Juan Diego.
6, 7, 6, 6.5 across.
Very good dive for him.
Huxley, 201C.
Huxley Burnett from Regina diving a back dive in a tuck position, a 1.6 DD.
Judges award.
And our leader after the second round, our leader, we'll find that out right away for you. Our leader after the first round is Gabriel Brownback after two rounds. It's Gabriel. Starting round 2 of the women's D1 1 meter, we have Vanessa Bondi. She's out of Etobicoke doing the back dive. 1.6 in the tuck position. Very good dive. So when you see the first number, it's a forward dive. If you see the first number is a 2, the first number is a 1, it's a forward dive. The first number, if you see it's a 2, it's a back dive. And that's a simple way to get a simple, better understanding of how some of the scores, or how some of the dives are identified. If you see the letter C, that means it's a tuck position where the knees come towards the chest, like so, that we just saw from Catherine. And if it's a letter B, that means it's a pike where they reach for their feet in a
5.5, 6.
as they're entering, as they're moving towards the water. Moving on here, we're moving quickly. I tell you, these young kids, they like to get up and on that board and get going right away, don't they? We have Esha from Revolution doing a back dive, a 1.6 DD in a tuck position.
Judges award.
Excellent dive.
6.5, 5, 5.5, 6.5, 5.5.
Peter and Garrett did a great job here getting these cameras set up. They look fantastic. The positions, the angles look great, you guys. Next up, we have Mila. I told you I'd get you on the next one, Mila. Mila's performing a back dive in a tuck position.
5.5, 5, 5, 6, 5.
And next up, our final diver is Jane Lafreniere performing the back dive in a tuck position of 1.6 DD.
Judges award.
Excellent dive. And our leader after 2 rounds in the women's D1 is Esha Vergas out of Revolution with
Moving forward to round 3, men's
on to
D2,
round 3,
Thomas.
men's
301
D2. We
C.
have Thomas Lafreniere with a reverse dive in a tuck position with a DD of 1.3. Or I'm sorry, 1.6 DD.
Judges
That
award.
was a really good dive.
Four
I thought
across.
that was solid.
Nicholas, 301C.
Next up, Nicholas Landry from Revolution performing the reverse dive in a tuck position. Headed to the 1.6. That completes round 3 of
6.5,
5.
6.5, 6, 7.
With
Switching to the women's
with
D2,
Nicholas
we
leading
have
the way after
Jessica,
3 rounds.
301C.
Next up, women's D2, we have Jessica from Regina performing a reverse dive in a tuck position of 1.6 DD. So you'll see in the reverse dive, When they enter the water, they're actually facing the board instead of facing away from the board. They're facing the board, which means they rotate their body in a reverse position. And that's how you can tell the difference between the forward dive and the reverse dive. Next up, Claire Uyama from Etobicoke, performing the reverse dive in a tuck position, DD 1.6.
Judges award. 7, 5.5, 5.5, 5, 6. Lennox, 301C.
Next up, we have Lennox from Regina performing the reverse dive in a tuck position, 1.6.
Judges award. 7.5, 6.5, 7, 6.5, 7. Shelby, 301C.
Our next diver on the board, we got Shelby Adams of the Revolution performing a reverse dive in a tuck position, DD of 1.6.
Judges award.
You'll see right now. You'll see
4.5 across.
Kate
Hey,
moving that
that's
round
301C.
disc on the board. Maybe watch for it next time. And that adjusts the spring of the boards, and each diver has a preference. And you'll watch for them. They will adjust it forwards or backwards.
Judges award.
What is
Four
that?
and
These
a half,
young divers,
four and
they're
a
just so
half,
fast
four
on
and
the
a half,
boards, and they
four and
just
a
get
half,
the business.
four.
They get the job done. So you'll see right now,
301C.
Lauren is adjusting the fulcrum, and that adjusts the springness of the board, of the level of spring that the boards provide. Each athlete, each diver has their own preference for that. So it's interesting to watch. Lauren is diving a reverse dive in a tuck position, 1.6 DD.
7, 6.5, 6.5, 6.5, 7.5.
Final diver for this event is
Nicole, 301C.
performing a reverse dive in 1.6 DD in a tuck position.
Judges award. 7, 7, 6.
Excellent
6.5,
dive.
6.
Excellent dive for Nicole.
Moving over to
And
men's
our leader
D1,
after round 3
Gabriel,
is Lennox.
301C.
Moving on to round 3 of the men's D1, we have Gabriel from Revolution with a reverse dive in a tuck, 1.6 DD.
Judges award.
Really good dive.
5.5, 5.5, 6, 5.5, 6. Juan Diego, 301C.
Juan Diego from Edge Diving performing the reverse dive in a tuck position, DD of 1.6 on this as well. Very well done. Really nice
Judges award.
dive.
6, 6.5, 6.5, 6.5.
You see some good numbers from that too.
Huxley, 301C.
Huxley on the board from Regina, reverse dive in the tuck position, 1.6 DD.
Judges award. 6.5, 7, 6.5, 6.5, 5.5.
And our leader after 3
Moving into
rounds
women's
is Gabriel
D1,
Brombach from Revolution.
Vanessa, 301C.
Moving into round 3 of the women's D1, we have Vanessa from Etobicoke doing a reverse dive in the tuck, 1.6 DD.
Judges award. 4.5, 4.5, 4, 5, 5.5.
Our next diver on the board, Catherine from Etobicoke performing a reverse dive in a tuck position, DD of 1.6.
Judges award 7, 6.5, 6.5, 6.5, 6.
Next on the board,
301C.
Esha from Revolution doing a reverse dive in a tuck position, a DD of 1.6.
Judges award 7.5, 6, 6.5 across.
Really great dive for
Mila,
Esha there.
301C.
Even sevens on the scores. That was great. Mila from Revolution, the reverse dive in a tuck position, 1.6 DD.
Judges award 4, 4.5, 5, 5, 5.5. Jane, 301C.
Jane with the 301C, reverse dive in the tuck position. That's going to end round 3 of 5.
Judges award
That was an excellent dive for Jane.
8, 8, 8,
Oh,
7.5, 8.
series of 8s on that score. What an outstanding score for Jane. What an outstanding dive.
Thomas, 401C.
Starting back to round 4 of the D2, we have Thomas. Inward dive in a tuck position, degree of 1.4, 1.6 rather.
Judges award 8 across.
Eights across for Nicholas. That's an outstanding dive for Nicholas, or for Thomas. I'm sorry. 8s across for Thomas. Great dive for Thomas. Wow. Nicholas from Revolution. Then inward dive in a tuck position, 1.6 DD. Ooh, wow. Nicholas comes right back.
5, 7, 8.
Series 7s and 8s for Nicholas. Good job. And your leader after it's tightening up. Thomas still holds the lead after 4 rounds. Next up, round 4 of the women's D2, Jessica from Regina. Then inward dive in the tuck, 1.6 DD.
Judges award 6.5, 6.5, 6.5, 6.5, 7.
That was an excellent dive for Jessica. Claire from Etobicoke with an inward dive in the tuck position of 1.6 DD.
Judges award 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 5, 3.5.
Very good scores for Claire.
Lennox,
Next up,
401C.
we have Lennox from Regina performing an inward dive in the tuck, 1.6 DD. Wow, that was a really good dive for Lennox. Oh my, I can see some scores. 8.5s and 9s on the deck. Wow, what an outstanding dive for Lennox. Wow. Next up, Shelby from Revolution with an inward dive in a tuck, 1.6 DD. Oh, that was an exciting dive for Lennox.
Judges award 5.5, 5.5, 6, 5.5, 6.
Solid dive. Shelby.
401
Kate from Revolution with an inward dive in the tuck, 1.6 DD.
Judges award. 5, 5, 5, 5.5, 5. Lauren,
Good
401C.
Lauren, out of Regina, performing an inward dive in a tuck position, DD 1.6.
Judges award. 8, 8.5.
Wow.
8, 7.5.
8s and 8.5. Another
Nicole,
fantastic dive.
401C.
Nicole Shakov from Revolution performing an inward dive in a tuck position, DD 1.6.
Judges award. 6, 7, 6.5.
Really good
6.5,
dive.
5.
Really good dive for Nicole.
Moving to the men's D1.
Lennox has taken over the lead
401C.
after 4 rounds after that monster dive. Next up, we have Gabriel from Revolution with an inward dive in a tuck, 1.6 DD. Gabriel's your current leader after 3 rounds of the men's D. Let's see if he can hold on to that lead. It's really close between the 3 boys. That's a really clean dive.
6.5, 7, 6.5, 6.5, 7.
Great scores for Gabriel.
Juan Diego, 401C.
Juan Diego, an inward dive, the DD of 1.6.
Judges award.
Outstanding day by Juan Diego.
6.5, 7.5, 6.5, 7, 6.5.
Really great scores. Keeping pace with Gabriel.
401C.
Going to make it a tight 50 round. Hawksley with an inward dive in a tuck, 1.6 DD.
Judges award. 6.5, 6.5.
Really good dive for Hawksley.
6.5, 6. Moving over to the
Gabriel
women's
holds on
D1.
to lead going into the final round, but it's tight between the 3 guys. It's going to be a great last round. Going into the 4th round of 5 for the women's D1, we have Vanessa from the Etobicoke inward dive in the tuck, 1.6 DD.
Judges award.
Very good dive.
6,
Solid
6.5,
scores
6,
across the
7
across the board.
Catherine, 401C.
Catherine from Etobicoke, inward dive in the tuck, 1.6.
Judges award. 7, 6.5, 7, 6 across.
Really good dive for Catherine.
Esha, 401C.
Esha, our leader after 3 rounds. Next up on the board, Esha with an inward dive in the tuck, 1.6 DD. Now, yeah.
Judges award. 7, 7, 6.5, 7, 6.5. Kayla, 401C.
Next up, Mila with an inward dive, 1.6 DD. That was an excellent dive from Mila.
4.5, 5, 4, 5, 4.
Next up, Next up, we have Jane Lafreniere with an inward dive in the tuck position, 1.6 DD.
Judges award. 5 across. Moving on to round 5 and the 5th.
That completes
final
round 4 of
men's
the
D2,
women's
Thomas
D1. Moving on to our
103.
final round for the men's D2. We have Thomas with a great dive in this last round, with a forward 1.5 somersault in a tuck position, a DD of 1.6, and away he goes. Great dive by Thomas.
7.5.
Great scores. Seeing 7, 7.5, even an 8. Wow, that was a great dive.
Final diver for men's D2, Nicholas, 103C.
Nicholas, this is a great event. Nicholas looking to hold on to his lead with a big dive here. Forward 1.5 somersault in a tuck position, DD 1.6. Here he goes.
Judges award.
That looked like a great dive. Is that enough?
6.5, 6, 6.5, 7.
And we've lost our
On to the
scoreboard.
final round for the women's D2.
We will find out soon.
Jessica,
I believe it is.
103C.
Next up on the boards, we apologize. We've temporarily lost our scoreboard. Next up on the board, we have Jessica with a forward 1.5 somersault in a tuck position, DD 1.6.
Judges award.
Very good dive.
8.
And with that dive, 8s and 8s across. What an outstanding dive by Jessica. She's really stepped up in this event. Our next diver on the board, Claire from Etobicoke, with a forward 1.5 somersault in a tuck position, DD of 1.6. Very good dive, solid dive. Looking again at 6.5, 7s.
6.5, 6. Lena, 103C.
Lennox performing a forward 1.5 somersault in a tuck position, DD 1.6. Very good dive. Solid dive.
6.5, 7, 7, 7, 6.5. Shelby, 103C.
Next up, Shelby from Revolution. Forward 1.5 somersaults in a tuck position with a DD of 1.6.
Judges award.
Outstanding dive by Shelby.
4.5.
Once again, this is the last round.
4.5.
5
5.
rounds in the women's D2. Great dive.
Kate, 103C.
Kate from Revolution with a forward 1.5 somersaults in the tuck position, a DD of 1.6.
Judges award.
Really good dive
4,
by Kate.
4, 4, 4.5, 4. Lauren, 103C.
Next up, we have Lauren from Regina performing a forward 1.5 somersaults in a tuck, DD 1.6.
Judges award.
Excellent dive. Really good
6.5,
start.
7, 6.5 across. Final diver for the women's D2, Nicole, 103C.
Nicole, the last diver in this event, forward 1.5 somersaults in a tuck position, DD of 1.6.
Judges award. 4, 4, 3.5, 4, 4.5. Moving on to final round men's D1, Gabriel, 103C.
So here we go. Gabriel, Juan Diego, and Huxley. A really close event here. Gabriel performing a forward 1.5 somersaults in the tuck position. There we are. Forward 1.5 somersaults. I think he heard me. Forward 1.5 somersaults in a tuck position with a DD of 1.6. And here he goes. It's a really good event for these three boys. They're slinging it out.
4.5, 4.5, 5, 5.5.
Hoxie's not going away quietly.
Juan Diego, 103C.
Juan Diego from edge with a forward 1.5 somersaults in the tuck position with a DD of 1.6. It's anyone's match right now. Juan Diego puts down some a good dive.
5,
Fives.
4.5, 5 across. Final diver for the men's C1 is Foxley, 103C.
And a final diver. Hoxley Burnett from Regina with a 103. Forward 1.5 somersaults.
Judges award. 7.
Hoxley.
7.
Did he put down? He had sevens across the board. Let's see the final standings. Gabriel holds on to the lead. Hoxley moves into second. Juan Diego in third. What a great event. Congratulations, guys. That was a great event. Starting our final round of diving on this broadcast. We have Vanessa from Etobicoke forward 1.5 somersaults in the tuck, 1.6D. Here she goes.
Judges award. 6.5, 6.5, 6.5.
The current leader right now is Esha Vergas, but it's tight.
Catherine,
It's a really close match here again, too. Catherine Coates from Etobicoke forward 1.5 somersaults in a tuck position of 1.6 DD. We saw our divers lay down some good dives in the last round. And I guarantee we're going to see more in this round,
Judges
too.
award. 4.5, 4.5, 4, 4.5,
A solid
5.
dive. Next up,
Esha, 103C.
Esha looking to hold the lead and hold the first podium spot. Looking to put down a great dive. Performing forward 1.5 somersaults in the tuck, 1.6 DD. There she goes.
Judges award.
A pretty solid. I think that was enough. 6.5 across the board.
6.5, 6.5, 5.5.
Really good dive for Esha.
Mila, 103C.
Mila, second last diver, forward 1.5 somersaults in a tuck position. She's got a DD of 1.6 on this. She's from Revolution.
Judges award.
Mila with a good dive.
4.5, 4.5, 5 across.
And our final diver.
And our final diver for the 1 meter event is Jane with 103C.
Jane from Saskatoon with a forward 1.5 somersaults in a tuck position. A DD of 1.6.
Judges award.
That's a really nice dive.
6, 5.5,
Scattering sixes and 5.5s.
5. And that concludes the men's and
And our
women's
winner for that event, Esha Vergas from
and
Revolution.
1 meter event.
And an excellent event for
I'm gonna take
everybody.
the
Congratulations to all the divers.
I'm going to take an opportunity here to thank some of the other people who make this
And
event
thank
happen.
you
And
all
our
for joining
manager,
us,
to
for Garrett
doesn't
and
get a
myself.
lot of credit, but
We
does so much
thank you for
work
joining
make
us
this happen.
today.
Our
And
event
we
team,
will be bringing
who
you
everyone knows
another
this,
event
as
in
we
30
welcome
minutes,
treat
and that
all
will
the time.
be the girls
To
and
our
boys
hospitality,
see
to everybody
any
who
final
loves,
words
because
before we
they
say goodbye?
need you.
Well, what can you say? That was
To our
a great performance
scorekeeper,
by the D-level divers.
what an
Some,
amazing
some
job. Keep
excellent
everything running
divers, and
smoothly.
looking forward to the
And
next
avoiding too many glitches.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Garrett.
Our
And on
announcers,
behalf of the Dive
and
Manitoba
our
broadcast crew, we
partners,
will see you in 30 minutes.
volunteers.
Bye-bye.
That's an amazing job.